Chairman, look back on 2016. It's been a good, eventful year. I suppose the FA Cup run, Man United here, was one of the highlights.
Yet it was, I don't think we saw it coming with the first draws that we had away from home, but I think the win at Cardiff was followed then by the Sheffield Wednesday result, which was fantastic in the last injury time, I think. Then the draw with Man United. It couldn't have been a better cup run, the best we've had in many, many years, I think.
And some runs like that help the club to promote itself around the world and get the name of Shrewsbury Town out.
I think the publicity that came from that was worldwide, not just nationwide, and it really helped to enhance the name of Shrewsbury Town Football Club, I'm sure.
The FA Cup was a nice distraction, but the important thing was League One football, and we managed to retain the status.
Well, we made a statement that we were desperate to stay in League One last year. We did really invest very heavily in staying there, and we achieved that. So you have to say that the means justified the end, or the end justified the means even.
It's all about keeping that, isn't it? And that was another season in League One, so it's about keeping us in this league as long as we can.
Well, it enables us then to plan for this year with I think Mickey is often used quote was that we would be having League One ready players. Unfortunately, the intentions of that and the investment we made in that didn't really show in the early months on the pitch and in a points total. But obviously, it's moved on now. Paul Hurst is here, and I think he's made a really, really solid start. And we hope, and we will give him the time that he needs to build a club for us that's going to be successful.
Talk about investment there. One of the other big investments is up at the training ground, turning that into a facility which we can all be proud of.
Well, we've had a really good season, and the finances from the cup run and the sale of the players has helped us to look at how we can then invest that extra cash into the running of the football club, securing its future, making it more stable than we are already, and just investing in the future for the supporters and the club.
Because the facility that the club has always used, but now it's one that, with that extra investment, is, I suppose the word is like a proper training facility.
I think it will be really stunning when it's complete. I think the buildings have now been moved up onto the site. The grass and the infrastructure of the drainage and all of those things, which will enable us to use it for 12 months of a year, will really pay off, I think, in the future when we're trying to attract players here. The manager will be able to be based there, and I think it will be a very, very useful addition to the way that we run this football club.
One other thing, in July yourself, 20 years in charge of the club, and a big milestone.
Yes, 20 years. I did say I was committed to 5 years, but when you get on the treadmill, it's extremely difficult to get off it. Having achieved 20 years, because I think the fans will know that I've never taken this job lightly. It's always been very, very important not to treat it as a plaything or anything else other than be proud as a local Shrewsbury-born person to become chairman and then to last for 20 years. And in October, I actually exceeded Tim Yates as the longest serving chairman in the history of Shrewsbury Town Football Club. And an interesting fact, we've only had 10 chairmen in 100 years, which I think is one of the reasons why we have retained our stability and continue to do so. Sorry.
With a statistic like that, I guess it's an achievement that may never be beaten.
It appears now with the local football clubs now, the big clubs in the Premiership, the Championship being owned by Chinese, it does make you wonder what direction the EFL or leagues, the Championship League 1 and 2, where they are going to be in the next 5-10 years. It's a very different industry that I joined 20 years ago.
And over those years, what has been the biggest challenges?
I think it's recorded that when I became chairman in '96, we did have a £780,000 debt. We were playing in a 97-year-old stadium that we couldn't get insured. We were struggling with a safety certificate. Our average gate was 2,500. You fast forward 20 years, we're now in a purpose-built stadium with 26 acres that we own. We are I would say, as financially sound as most of any clubs in the Football League. And we want to use that foundation now to kick on. Maybe if I was to be critical of myself, some of the appointments over the 20 years have not been to what I would have expected them to be. I think most of the appointments and the decisions we've made over those 20 years have been to improve the football club.
I suppose one of the lasting legacy will be the Greenhouse Meadow.
I don't like the word legacy because I've never undertook this. When I became chairman in '96, it was basically because I'm a local boy. I've watched the town since I was very, very young. I won't say how many years it is now. But the motive and the drive was to secure the future of this football club for future generations after I've gone.
I suppose as well, over that time, a lot of highs, cups, promotions, any of them stick in your mind?
I think in any period of 20 years, which is 2 decades, there are bound to be a lot of lows, and there have been some fantastic highs. One of the biggest lows for me, and which took me a long time to recover, was being relegated out of the Football League. And I was delighted that we managed to get back within a year, which enabled us then to kick on and do what we're doing now. Some of the highs, you go to Everton, when we beat Everton and got relegated that same year. I could never believe that. And then we went on, we continued, we built the stadium, we got to Wembley twice. Some of the cup wins and performances we've had have been really great. And it's been difficult to replicate the atmosphere at the Gay Meadow, but every new venue takes time, and with victories it gets its own history, which I think it's now beginning to show.
Very true, because I guess like the Greenhouse Meadow, the history here is promotions, Chelsea's, Man United, some very good games.
Well, really, really big games to play. I think we in 4 or 5 we played Arsenal at Arsenal, we played Chelsea here, we played Manchester United here. We've been to Wembley twice. There have been some really positives, and obviously being in League One, where I think the majority of our fans expect us to be, and where I would love to be, you've always got the wild card opportunity maybe of having a really good season and getting to the Championship, like Burton, because I think Burton have done fantastic well, and I know the chairman very well, and I wish him every success.
I suppose over those 20 years, football has changed a lot though, hasn't it?
Well, you've got to remember when I became chairman, the Premier League had just been born, as we say, and the impact that's had with the Bosman ruling, all has changed the whole complexities of football. And it isn't a straightforward business anymore. It's a very complex business model. And to thrive in this, you have to have an enormous amount of luck, as well as hopefully making some correct decisions as well.
Back to 2016, I suppose the start of the season didn't go as planned. Mickey moved on and Paul came in. And sort of, again, big decisions that a chairman has to make.
I think the fans help with this decision making. It is very difficult as chairman and being a supporter, and as long-serving supporters as myself, James, and Mal Starkey, who was very influential in the club. It is very difficult for us when the team isn't playing the way we would like it to be. And I have to say, it's very difficult to get a manager to actually deliver the football that I've always said. When you have a DNA, my DNA of football has always been 2 wingers, closing down, very high tempo football, which we all love to watch. And I think the only time that ever almost came to fruition was with Graham, when we had Lionel Ainsworth and Mark Wright on the wings. That, for me, was probably the most enjoyable time watching the football as I have as chairman.
And I guess as well, with January approaching, Paul's managed to turn results around, but it also gives him the opportunity to bring players in.
I think it's always a little bit disappointing for me when some fans after 3 games are saying, Paul should go, and I just find this current, because I'm not a media man, as you probably have guessed, the message boards and all those things give people the opportunity, but I just think Brian and I sat down with a list of maybe 100, 120 people to look at, but we knew exactly what we wanted to attract this time. Paul fitted the criteria, and I think he's made a really solid really solid start, and we're delighted for him and delighted for us.
And with January transfer window approaching, I guess he'll be coming to ask for a few more players.
I think we always agreed that if we could get to January without being too far adrift, he would obviously want to bring some of the players that are in his liking, which from what we spoke about will be in our liking as well, and the fans' liking, I'm sure. And I'm sure he will be very active in the next few weeks.
And I guess he's put himself in a good position coming into Christmas, nearly out of the bottom four.
I mean, it was a crazy result. Chesterfield beating Bolton, if you look at it, but this is what makes football so exciting. And without that one goal difference, we would have been out of the relegation going into Christmas, which would have been fantastic for everyone.
The other proud part of the club over the year has been the way that the community is built and what the work that Jamie's done over there.
I think the progress we've made over the last 3 years, particularly with the community, is now being recognised as a great asset to the county of Shropshire as well as the town of Shrewsbury. And I'm really delighted the way things are going, and we are still investing, and there could be some really big additions in the near future, which will all be benefiting our town and the community of the people here.
I know over my time of working with you, you've always been frustrated at the coverage the community gets, but now we can see stories going out there daily, things over the week and everything, so again, at least they're getting the coverage.
I think people are it's beginning to realise now exactly what the football represents in the community. The amount of investment that is into the community with the youth setup, the community, all of this is done without taxpayers' money. And if we weren't here as a club in the centre of this community, then this would fall on the taxpayers. So I'm really delighted that we're able to continue doing that and to grow.
And such deals as the little deal, which is going on in the background, allows money to come in to allow the club to grow and to continue this work.
The little deal is potentially tremendous for the football club. We have to remember, Little approached us. We didn't go out and say, we have an area of land that we'd like to sell. Little approached us to say it would fit very well into their portfolio of their expansion plans. We agreed a deal with them. This will help tremendously to achieve what we want to do, and that is to progress the community, provide the pitch there, invest in the training ground, which will give us all the more strength going forward to make the club more stable.
And I guess as well, 2017, a lot of big projects ongoing, and hopefully the one which will come out will be League One survival.
Well, when we sat down, obviously Mickey went, I think, in October, when we interviewed, and we said, we felt with the right person, come to Christmas, we're not too far adrift, new players coming in, then we think it's a really achievable goal, is to stay where we've always wanted to be, at minimum, is in League One.
And I guess it's all about continuing that development and growth of the club.
Yeah, well, the one thing I can't control as chairman is once they cross. I don't select the players. I don't train the players. I would love to be able to do it, but once they go over that line and the whistle goes, there's nothing we can do in the boardroom that will affect the results. All we can do is support the managers as to the best we can and to what the club can afford to be sustainable, and we have done that year after year, and we'll continue to do it with Paul.
Finally as well, coming up to that time of the year of Christmas, so a quick little Christmas message to the town fans around the world.
Well, you know, I do this on such a regular basis, Ian, that it is very, for me, an emotional time of the year, so I would like to take this opportunity to wish all of our fans, the Shrewsbury Town Football Club and supporters, the very, very best for Christmas and a Happy New Year.